For the past month, I've been interested in the Roman Dodecahedron, and I found something worth sharing. This is a simplified version of my thought process and discoveries. The following is going to sound incredibly far-fetched, and without evidence I wouldn't believe it either, but it has led me to the discovery of contextual evidence to support my theory. The Roman Dodecahedron is a mysterious Galileo-Roman object, dating back 2nd to 4th century AD. Approximately 100 have been found. There are many theories about what they were for, however no documentation of these objects has been found until now. The Rotas Sator Square is a famous Latin word square. The earliest known find dates back to 79 AD in Pompeii. When I first saw the object, I had an intuitive sense that the protruding knobs were for rotation. For example, if the object was placed on sand, the object would be rotated around a face using the protruding knobs as anchor points. To rotate the object around one of its faces, it requires 10 turns to return to the starting position, which is 2 full rotations of the object. Each of the 5 faces would print the ground twice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This was the moment that I wondered if it was connected to the Rotas Sator Square, because I'd seen this looping pattern of 5 before. The Rotas Sator Square is an acrostic palindrome, which means it can be read forwards, backwards, up and down. Each 5-letter word can be interpreted forward and backwards, creating 2 5-letter words. I wrapped the letters R-O-T-A-S around the top to form Rotas, and the letters O-P-E-R-A around the bottom to form opera. At this point I wasn't sure which letters would be on the top or the bottom, however I suspected one would be an N because it would be required to form tenet. Rotating the object around the unknown top face produces Rotas and Sator. Rotating the object around the unknown bottom face produces opera and arapo. The first clue. I spent some time trying to find tenet. I found this pattern which would require a smaller dodecahedron to print into the rotational circle of the larger dodecahedron, however I felt this was probably unlikely. I came across this pattern which uses half a rotation of Rotas on either side of the opera-arapo rotation. As expected, the N is the unknown face which opera rotates around. This is a known pattern in modern symbolism. The triple moon symbol. The triple moon symbol brings together the waxing moon, full moon and waning moon to signify womanhood stages, life cycles, and the triple goddess. The waxing moon reflects beginnings and youth as the maiden, the full moon embodies growth and steadiness as the mother, and the waning moon symbolises wisdom and the passage into death as the crone. Many ancient religions feature triune or triple goddesses, or divine figures who appeared in sets of 3. A prominent example is the Moirai, the Fates, Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos. The second clue. I was interested to see if there are any other words or sayings encoded. There are many possible permutations whilst maintaining Rotas and opera, because they could each be written clockwise or anti-clockwise, and the words could start at any of the 5 positions on the top for Rotas, and any of the 5 positions on the bottom for opera, and the combination of the top and bottom whilst also still maintaining Rotas and opera. And there was still a remaining unknown letter on the top face of the dodecahedron, which I also had to cycle through. I was looking for words which worked forwards and backwards. There was one possible combination which I noticed immediately. Atrop, porter. This is the configuration to support atrop while maintaining Rotas and opera. It stood out because it's the root of the name of one of the fates, Atropos, and it also worked backwards, creating porter, which means gateway. At this point I found it interesting that 2 clues had emerged from the object, a symbol and a word, both pointing towards the triple goddess. The fates are a common motif in European polytheism. The most frequently represented as the trio of goddesses, the fates shapes the destiny of each human, often expressed in textile metaphors such as spinning fibres into yarn and weaving thread on a loom. The trio are generally conceived of as sisters and are often given the names Clotho, Lachesis and Atropos, which are the names of the Moirai, the version of the fates who appeared in Greek mythology. Atropos was known as the inflexible one. It was Atropos who chose the manner of death and ended the life of mortals by cutting their threads. She worked along with her 2 sisters, Clotho, who spun the thread, and Lachesis, who measured the length. Without evidence, I was very aware all of this would be dismissed and added to the collection of other theories about the Roman dodecahedron. I wasn't even going to share these findings, however, to my surprise, these clues have led me to new evidence. This is the Vertalt relief, found in Vertalt, ancient Vertilium, in the department of Côte d'Or, France. It dates to 2nd 4th century AD. The date and location correspond with the findings of the Roman dodecahedrons. It is a depiction of the triple goddess, birth holding the baby, life holding the scroll, and death. In the hand of death is the Roman dodecahedron. This connection has been missed since it was excavated in 1846. For the first time there is contextual evidence of the Roman dodecahedron. As far-fetched as all of this sounds, it's right there. Documented proof of the Roman Dodecahedron in the hand of the goddess representing death. Without the Rotas Sator Square, I wouldn't have been able to find the connection to the triple goddess. So the connection is either incredibly coincidental, twice, or it was the perfect clue hidden in plain sight for 2,000 years. I find it fascinating that symbolism and language is emerging from the mapping of the Rotas Square on a 3D object. So what does it mean? I still don't know. There are still many unanswered questions. Why are the holes different sizes? What do the rings represent? I do, however, believe the Roman Dodecahedron was a ritual or religious object, which represented the inevitable gateway of death. Finding two clues hidden within the rotational properties of the object, both pointing to the triple goddess, and the supporting evidence of the third goddess who represents death holding the object, makes this a very compelling argument. I'm hopeful this will find someone with the skills and knowledge required to build upon this theory,